In 1970, Plymouth built a car so outrageous, NASCAR had to ban it after just one season. It had a wing taller than most kids, a nose that looked like a rocket, and secrets that ranged from FBI investigations to moonshine smuggling. This wasn't just a car, it was a myth on four wheels. The Plymouth Superbird. And in this countdown, we're revealing 20 of the strangest, most unbelievable truths about it. By the time we reach number 1, you'll know things even diehard car guys never heard before. So hit that like button, share your favorite muscle car memory in the comments, and let's dive into the legend of the Superbird. Number 20, NASCAR's rule change killed the Superbird. The year was 1970. Plymouth unleashed the Superbird, an aerodynamic monster designed for one purpose: to win NASCAR races. And it did. Richard Petty and other drivers turned laps so fast, so dominant, that the car sent shockwaves through the sport. But NASCAR responded with the ultimate blow. New rules restricted engines to just 305 cubic inches for aerodynamic cars, effectively outlawing the mighty 426 Hemi that powered the Superbird. Overnight, the Bird was grounded. One of the most outrageous factory race cars in history was finished after a single model year. For many, this was the day racing politics killed innovation and gave birth to legend. Number 19, only 1,935 were built due to a steel shortage. Collectors love to repeat the number: 1,935 Superbirds. That's all Plymouth built. At first, it sounds like marketing strategy, just enough cars to qualify for NASCAR's homologation rules. But the truth was stranger. A steel shortage in 1969 to 70 meant Plymouth struggled to secure material for the massive rear wing hinges. Without those parts, production couldn't continue. So the factory stopped right at 1,935 units. Think about that. A simple shortage of steel, not a lack of demand, is part of what made the Superbird so rare. Today, sometimes history hinges, literally, on a single piece of metal. Number 18. The Superbird's cartoon identity. When you bought a Superbird in 1970, you didn't just get raw horsepower. You got a car with a cartoon character on the fenders, and a horn that went beep, beep, like the Roadrunner. That was Plymouth's wild gamble, mixing NASCAR dominance with Saturday morning fun. Kids adored it. Parents shook their heads. And rival drivers? Some felt embarrassed to lose to a car plastered with Looney Tunes stickers. But that branding worked. The Superbird wasn't just a machine, it was pop culture on wheels. A muscle car with a sense of humor, roaring at 190 miles per hour. Number 17. Moonshine compartment. Southern legends whisper about another secret. Behind the sleek fiberglass bodywork, especially in the trunk area, drivers could stash more than just a spare tire. The Superbird's unique construction created hidden cavities, perfect for smuggling. Moonshiners, the same rebels who once inspired stock car racing itself, supposedly used Superbirds to haul illegal liquor. Imagine that, a car built to dominate NASCAR, now flying down dark back roads, hiding gallons of white lightning beneath its bright paint. Was it true? Well, ask an old bootlegger and you'll never get a straight answer. But the myth refuses to die. Number 16. Jet turbine Superbird. Now, here's a fact few have ever heard. Deep in Chrysler's experimental labs, there were whispers of a jet turbine Superbird. Chrysler had already tested turbine engines in passenger cars during the 60s. So why not bolt one into their wildest creation? One test car reportedly combined a Hemi V8 with a turbine assist system, boosting it past 290 miles per hour in private trials. Then, like a ghost, it vanished. The car was never seen again. Some say Chrysler destroyed it. Others insist it was hidden away in a warehouse, locked from public eyes. If true, the jet turbine Superbird wasn't just fast, it was decades ahead of its time. Number 15. Classified land speed record. And if you think the turbine story was wild, this one borders on the unbelievable. In the 1980s, long after the Superbird had faded from dealerships, a heavily modified version reportedly appeared at a secret military testing ground in the Nevada desert. The claim? That car hit over 400 miles per hour, faster than many jet aircraft on the runway. The details remain classified. No photos, no documents, just stories from those who claimed to be there. Was it a myth? A cover-up? Or did the Superbird truly shatter limits nobody thought possible? We may never know. But the legend of the 400 miles per hour Superbird lingers like desert heat on the horizon. This is only the beginning of our countdown. We've already uncovered banned engines, missing prototypes, and moonshine secrets. But as we move closer to number 1, the stories get even stranger. Number 14. FBI investigated dealer scams. The Superbird wasn't just stirring up racetracks, it was stirring up federal agents. In the early 70s, the FBI actually investigated certain dealerships accused of shady practices. What kind? Engine swapping scams. Unsuspecting buyers thought they were getting a brand new, factory-fresh 426 Hemi or a 446 pack. But some dishonest dealers pulled the high-value engines, sold them separately for big profits, and replaced them with cheaper blocks. Imagine paying thousands for the hottest machine on the street, only to discover months later your Hemi was no Hemi at all. For Plymouth, it was an embarrassment. For the FBI, it was yet another reminder that when a car becomes this legendary, crime follows close behind. Number 13. Secret AWD prototypes. Now, this one was buried for decades. Chrysler engineers quietly built at least 3 experimental all-wheel drive Superbirds. Why? To test traction and racing technology for future use. These prototypes were whispered about among insiders, but never confirmed until years later. Some believe Chrysler considered AWD as a secret weapon for NASCAR before the rule changes ended the aero wars. If you think about it, AWD muscle cars didn't really appear on American streets until decades later. But the Superbird? It might have been the pioneer, an experimental bird that never got to spread its wings. Number 12. Bootleggers loved it too. When you think of bootlegging, you picture 40s Fords or 50s Chevys tearing down back roads with revenuers in pursuit. But even in the 70s, the moonshine trade wasn't dead, and neither was the need for a fast getaway car. And what better than a Plymouth Superbird? Some stories claim bootleggers took advantage of the Superbird's fiberglass rear plug, using it as a stash spot for small kegs or jugs of liquor. That it was ironic, really. A car designed for the bright lights of NASCAR, sneaking quietly through the backwoods of Appalachia under moonlight, carrying contraband. The bird of speed became the bird of rebellion. Number 11. The whistling wing prank. Here's a story that still makes old Chrysler engineers chuckle. During development, some SLI team members reportedly hit a whistle inside the nose cone at just the right speed. Some say around 70 to 80 miles per hour. The car would emit a high-pitched whistling sound. Not dangerous, not mechanical, but annoying. And who was it meant for? For drivers. The prank was simple. Make rival drivers second-guess their own machines, thinking something was wrong while the Superbird sailed past. Was it real, or just an inside joke that got exaggerated over the years? Either way, it adds a mischievous twist to the legend. Number 10. Petty's personal Superbird was special for Richard Petty, the man who made the Superbird famous. His personal car wasn't just another production model. His factory-issued Superbird was hand-prepared with special race upgrades, a carefully blueprint engine, and even quiet notes from Chrysler engineers, guiding him to squeeze every ounce of performance from to the public. It looked like any other street-legal car. But under the hood, Petty's Superbird was closer to a racing machine, a rolling thank you from the engineers who built it. And here's the kicker. Petty himself wasn't even sure he wanted to drive the car at first. But by the end of 1970, the Superbird and Petty were inseparable, the car making him a legend, and the legend making the car immortal. The deeper we go, the stranger the story becomes. We've seen FBI stings, hidden AWD prototypes, bootleggers, pranks, and Richard Petty's secret weapon. Number 9. A dangerous aerodynamic flaw. The Superbird looked like a space shuttle for the streets. That massive nose cone. Pure race car. Genius. But here's what few people realized. At regular highway speeds, that same nose could backfire. Wind tunneled beneath it, and instead of pushing the car down, it sometimes caused the front end to lift slightly. Drivers described it as steering that suddenly felt loose or floaty. On the NASCAR track at 190 miles per hour, the aerodynamics worked beautifully. But on the open interstate at 70, ordinary buyers found themselves fighting to keep the car steady. In other words, the Superbird was too much race car for Main Street America. Number 8. NASCAR teams cheated with hidden mods. In the fierce world of stock car racing, winning meant everything. And teams weren't afraid to bend, or break the rules. With the Superbird, they got creative. Some crews would thin the nose cone with acid, making it lighter while keeping the shape. Others reportedly stuffed the massive rear wing with removable weights, tweaking balance depending on the track. None of this was legal, of course. But in those days, inspection was limited, and as the saying goes, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. The Superbird may have been engineered by Chrysler, but on the racetrack, it was re-engineered in every garage stall, night after night. Number 7. Dealers, unwinged, unsold cars. Believe it or not, not everyone wanted a Superbird back. In 1970, hard to imagine today, but picture this. You're a family man, walking into a Plymouth dealership. You need a car for daily use. And the salesman points to this giant, neon-colored beast with a wing taller than your wife. Thousands of people said, "No thanks." So what did dealers do? They stripped unsold Superbirds of their wings and nose cones, converting them back into plain Roadrunners. To them, it was a business move. To collectors today, it was a tragedy. Some of those modified cars are lost forever, rare birds that never got to fly. Number 6. Secret factory detuning under the hood of many Superbirds. Beat the legendary 426 Hemi or the 446 pack. Engines built for glory. But here's the secret. Chrysler quietly detuned some engines before shipping them out. Why? Warranty claims. A full-power Hemi was a temperamental beast, prone to breaking parts in the hands of inexperienced owners. To protect the brand, Plymouth slightly restricted timing, carburation, or compression. The result? You got a tamer Superbird on paper. But savvy buyers or local mechanics in the know could undo the tweaks in an afternoon and unleash the full fury of the race motor. It was like buying a lion in a cage and holding the key yourself. Number 5. The infamous vinyl roof. You've seen them. Superbirds with a black vinyl roof. At first glance, it looks like pure 1970s fashion. But here's the hidden truth. When Plymouth grafted the tall wing struts and rear window plug onto the car, the welding left visible imperfections. Dents, cracks, ripples, things you don't want buyers to see. The solution? Cover it all up with vinyl. So that stylish black top wasn't a trend statement, it was camouflage. A clever disguise hiding the rough surgery that turned an ordinary Roadrunner into a NASCAR superstar. From dangerous flaws to dealer cover-ups, from factory secrets to cheating scandals, the Superbird story just keeps twisting. Number 4. Plymouth lost money on every Superbird on paper. The Superbird looked like a winner. High price tag, limited run, big headlines. But behind closed doors, Plymouth executives were grimacing. The truth? Plymouth lost money on every single Superbird they built. Why? Because the car was practically hand-built. That long fiberglass nose, the unique rear window plug, the towering wing, each required custom parts and extra labor. The math just didn't add up. For Chrysler, the Superbird wasn't about profit. It was about glory on the racetrack, about proving they could out-engineer Ford and Chevrolet. And while the accountants may have hated it, that sacrifice gave us one of the most collectible cars of all time. Number 3. The tall wing was a parking lot compromise. When you first see the Superbird, the giant rear wing looks like pure space age science. Surely it was designed by aerodynamicists in white lab coats, tested in secret wind tunnels, right? Well, not exactly. Yes, the wing added stability at 190 miles per hour. But here's the funny part. Its unusual height was chosen for something far more practical, so the trunk lid could open all the way in a grocery store parking lot. That's right. Engineers literally raised the wing so Mom could load groceries without hitting her head. It was race car science mixed with suburban convenience. And today, that odd compromise is part of what makes the car unforgettable. Number 2. Richard Petty initially hated it. Now, you'd think the king of NASCAR would have loved the car that made him a legend. But when Richard Petty first saw the Superbird, he thought it looked ridiculous. The long nose, the cartoon bird stickers, that giant wing. Petty worried it would make him the laughingstock of the racing world. But looks didn't matter when the green flag dropped. The Superbird's speed spoke for itself, and Petty quickly realized he had the fastest car on the track. By the end of the season, this silly-looking machine had become his crown jewel, and his fans adored it. Number 1. The nose cone wasn't just for speed. And now, the number 1 weird truth about the 1970 Plymouth Superbird. That famous nose cone, the aerodynamic spearhead that defined the car, wasn't designed purely for speed. It was shaped, in part, to meet NASCAR's minimum nose height rules. That's right, engineers built it tall enough to satisfy regulations. And in doing so, accidentally created one of the most effective aerodynamic profiles in racing history. In other words, the Superbird's greatest weapon was born out of compromise, not perfection. And that's what makes it even more legendary. The 1970 Plymouth Superbird lasted just one model year. It was banned by NASCAR politics. It was mocked by some drivers. It struggled to sell in dealerships. And yet, half a century later, it stands. Taller than ever, a neon-colored symbol of America's muscle car, it was part race car, part cartoon, part outlaw. A machine too wild for its own time. And maybe that's why we still remember it. Because in a world of safe, sensible cars, the Superbird dared to be outrageous. It wasn't just a car. It was a myth on four wheels. The bird that refused to be forgotten.